So the rugby fraternity in general it's not in the best place in a minute. We could have sat here and talk about the WRU and what's been going on there. We've also got the RFU, and that's the one that's really got your goat. What's the story?
So, as an English rugby fan, it's caused me particular grief over the last week. Uproar, in short. The RFU, the Rugby Football Union, announced that it was making the biggest change to the laws games in its history. Without going into the technical details, they're lowering the legal tackle height from the shoulder to the waist, supposedly because it's going to decrease the number of injuries. Now, you look at the likes of concussion, for example, is a major issue across the game. You've got former professional players who are suffering with early onset dementia. There's a fairly prominent case in the media where these professional players are suing World Rugby for negligence and failing to protect them. So there are issues, and the decision has grounding in trying to make the game safer, but it's the manner in which that decision has been made and announced that has caused the upheaval across the rugby fraternity, as you call it.
So what was wrong with the announcement, with the way they went about it?
So the RFU Council voted on this decision. They say they reviewed a bunch of statistics, evidence, research, etc. And an announcement was made via a press statement the following day. That statement effectively said hundreds of thousands of people, refs, players, coaches and refs, this is the way it is, you've just got to toe the line. It wasn't, however, they didn't go through a process of engagement with the people that it would actually affect. It was simply a press release, a press statement that was issued. It quoted evidence of studies but didn't provide any details of those studies. There weren't any consultations with players. There weren't any focus groups. It raised more questions than it provided answers. And again, it's just a case of we've made this decision, everyone must do as we say. So the result has been protests across the game, professional and amateur players alike. A petition has been started, which is at the time of looking just now has accumulated over 75,000 signatures appealing, trying to appeal the decision. The RFU CEO and board might face a vote of no confidence. It has basically turned into an absolute PR disaster. And where the RFU didn't consult the public, they obviously seemingly didn't consult their dedicated communications team either.
So there's been no stakeholder engagement before the decision was taken. How do you think that has impacted the perception that the game, the players, the leagues have on the RFU, but also the public as well?
Again, very much a case of the RFU is seen as this sort of us and them kind of mentality. We're the decision makers, everyone else has to do as they're told. This hasn't done anything to negate that perception. But again, the engagement is the key crisis, catastrophe, disaster, dilemma in this process, in that they made the decision without engaging with the actual rugby playing public.
So how do you think the RFU come out of this? I mean, you mentioned that they issued a statement, which was kind of like, oh, hang on a second, we made a bit of a balls up here. Let's go back to the drawing board. But has the decision remained in place? Have they reneged on that decision?
So the decision remains in place. They've issued a follow-up statement. They have also issued an apology, but that apology came a week later, and as a result of it basically being too little too late, the rugby community has said it's worthless. Again, that's a direct quote. Again, had they consulted with a communications agency, had they consulted with their own in-house team, they might have gone about it very differently. They need to be engaging better and consulting with the people who are actually involved in the game on a day-to-day basis.
Could this have a financial impact on those lower leagues? Talking about grassroots rugby, is it going to affect sponsorship deals, advertisers?
It could affect participation, it could affect sponsorship, it could affect advertising.
Okay, final question. Out of 10, how much of a PR balls up was this?
On a scale of 10 being the biggest balls up?
Yeah.
11.
Wow.
I mean, it absolutely cataclysmically disastrous.